Good morning. Today's walking tour starts here at the Embassy of New Zealand to the United States. We're just off of Massachusetts Avenue on Observatory Circle. And it's just about 8 a.m. I started the stream a minute or two early because at 8 a.m. the national anthem will play. And we will observe the national anthem. This embassy looks really great at sunset when the sun is kind of beaming on these orange pieces of art. This archway here, and we'll walk right up to this in a minute. So Observatory Circle, which is behind me, is just off of Massachusetts Avenue, which is the main embassy row in Washington, D.C. Observatory Circle is home to the Naval Observatory, which is the home to the atomic clock, which is the official time of the United States. It's also home to the Vice President of the United States. The Vice President's home is located on the circle. We're going to walk around this one block, and sorry for juggling the camera. I do have papers, so I'm sorry if you hear the papers. I have notes. This is circle number 2147 in Washington, D.C. So we're going to do a good historic and architectural tour of this block. So beginning here, all right, well, good morning again. At 8 a.m. at the embassies here in Washington, D.C., as well as military installations, one of which is behind me, the national anthem is played. So I stopped to observe the national anthem. Hi, good morning, BLXM Iden. Good morning. So we're starting today at the Embassy of New Zealand. And I'm going to walk right up here. We always observe all of the signs, rules, and regulations, unless there is a sign that says no video or photography. We're going to take pictures. And unless there's a sign that says prohibited, don't come here, we're going to adventure as far as we can. Hi, Izuku. Good morning. So here's the entrance to the Embassy of Australia. We're here at 37 Observation Circle in Washington, D.C. And this building was built in 1979. It was a purpose-built building specifically to become the Embassy of New Zealand. So this is not one of the historic buildings, but it has become an historic building. The artwork is fantastic. And I'm sorry, I don't want to go back up across the street. Earlier in the stream, I got the full scope of the building. And so here's the information about that arch. Tara Huai. And there's a poem right here. Here I stand, Tara Huai, treasured emblem in a foreign land, my face turned to the world, welcoming a multitude alone. That's kind of beautiful. So the New Zealand Embassy is here on Observatory Circle in Northwest Washington, D.C. Here's the coat of arms for New Zealand. And another piece of art over here. These bright red and orange colors look really good at sunset. But this is early in the morning. It's 8:03 in the morning. So we're not getting that sun. And really, as you can see, it's a cloudy morning. A little bit of drizzle too. Okay, so this piece of art is and I do apologize if I'm not speaking this correctly, the He Korowai Mormahara Remembrance Cloak. This Anzac WW100 sculpture represents both the mana of those soldiers that sacrificed so much during the Great War and subsequent wars, with the memorial awash with red poppies, and our cultural identity through this Maori cloak of remembrance, lest we forget. Well, hi, Cody. Well, Cody, I hope you subscribe to my channel and click the notification button. I live stream once or twice a week. I get around Washington, D.C. during the day, usually on weekends, and at night, at least one weeknight a week, if the weather's good. So if you can see on this piece of art, these are poppies. You know, the remembrance flower. Feathers at the top. I'm gonna be super careful walking backward here, lest I fall down. Great, Cody, I'm glad to see you. So beautiful. So, you know, as we travel around Washington, D.C., I tend to gravitate toward the embassies and historic buildings that are often great examples of architecture, but also artwork. And so this one was purpose-built in 1979. So definitely not classical architecture, but I find it quite interesting. I also like the mix of different architectural styles. So this is New Zealand. Good morning, Highlander. Hi. Hi, Mateo. So we're going to make our way from the New Zealand Embassy on Observatory Circle. I'm walking north now toward Massachusetts Avenue, toward the British Embassy. But along the way, we'll take a look at some buildings. And, whoa, did I make a mistake? No, I didn't. Okay, yes, that building was purpose-built 1979. Want to make sure I'm giving you, or at least for myself, recording the correct dates. This next building here, now this one, I don't know if it's associated with an embassy. I used to assume it was part of the British Embassy, but this may be a residence, and that might be the flag of New Zealand there, so perhaps it's the residence. But there's no signage. This building was built in 1932, so this was not a purpose-built facility. This was a home. Number 27 Observatory Circle. Built in, what did I just say? 1932. Sorry for the paper rattling. But yeah, there's the flag of New Zealand there. So I'm gonna guess that that's the residence. Now I am on a street, the main road leading to the Naval Observatory, which I will not film. That would be the one that I get in trouble for. Although there's no sign that says do not film here, I am super careful around military installations, as well as the Naval Observatory is also the home of the vice president. And I'm gonna guess that's the ambassador from New Zealand, or his driver, because that car just drove up. And the license plates, which I am not going to zoom in on, are an indicator of diplomatic status. So good morning to the ambassador from New Zealand. Now this building, also built as a home, not a purpose-built structure. This was built in 1926. And this is 19? I believe this is number 19, Observatory Circle. Built in 1926. Now we're moving on to the big one. This is the British Embassy. And you're going to see a combination of architectural styles here. The British Embassy occupies a large footprint here in Washington, D.C., as you can imagine, as our closest partner. We honor that special relationship that we have with Great Britain. And these buildings were built at different times. I've been here during the Embassy open house every year in May. I've been here a couple of times. This is the longest line, but it's so worth it. You get a tour of parts of the courtyard, the ambassador's residence you get to visit. You get they do all kinds of displays and exhibits outside. They had James Bond cars and British sports celebrities visiting, all kinds of cool stuff during the open house. And you can visit other embassies during the open houses as well. But this is the big one. There's food, music, fashion, all kinds of stuff. So this big old building, as you can imagine, this is not a historical structure, but okay, I'm using that loosely. This was built in 1960. It has become an historic structure. So it's not an ancient structure or an antique structure. It's an emu in disguise. I know. Hey, Mateo. Thank you for subscribing, Mateo. I try to stream one morning each weekend, so either Saturday or Sunday, usually around historic architecture. And then I try to do a weeknight at night, so you can see some of the same buildings and how they look at night, which is quite different. And this rotunda here, this small round building, this is the kind of the welcoming area for visitors. This is where I came way long ago when I was a wee one, when Princess Diana passed away, and there was a book of condolence here. And I came here, lined up, signed the book. There were flowers everywhere. And I'll show you where the flowers generally are laid. In Britain, the flowers usually end up in front of Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace upon the death of someone notable. And here, they usually are at this mosaic of the Union flag. Good morning, Tom Toward Ship 18. Hi, thanks for joining. So this is where Observatory Circle. Now, this side of the street is not the circle. This side of the street is the actual circle, but I'm not going to film there because it's a military installation. But this is where Observatory Circle meets Massachusetts Avenue. If I were to walk about 5 minutes that way, the National Atomic Clock is located there. So if you want to set your clock, it's the official clock. But here's where, after Queen Elizabeth passed away, here's where I came to put flowers on that sad night. And there were many people here with me to pay our respects. So this is a good view of the working part of the British Embassy. As you can imagine, the British Embassy is a really large compound, and we'll walk down the street and take a look at the rest. I know, Limu, Emu. Don't make. Now I'm gonna have that jingle in my head from that commercial. Limu, Emu. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. So you can see we're here at Observatory Circle and Massachusetts Avenue. If you're just joining, we just took a good look at the Embassy of New Zealand. So when I post this video, you can go back and look at it. Usually my videos take almost 24 hours to upload. I'm probably because they're usually about 30 minutes. I don't know how other people upload so quickly, but mine take about 30 minutes to render. So we're walking east on Massachusetts Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. This is the British Embassy. And I'm sorry for papers. I have my notes here to make sure we're talking about the architecture. So this building, as you can tell, the more modern structure, was built in 1960, purpose-built as a British embassy. And in May, you can come visit the open house here, along with open houses for most, half, maybe a little more than half of the other embassies in Washington, D.C. It changes every year, and it is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. You can see the British phone box there behind the fence and the official entrance. So visitors are received in this security area here, this rotunda, and then into the main entrance. No, James Bond doesn't get briefed here unless he's in the United States. Hi, George or Jorge. I'm in Washington, D.C. at the British Embassy, and we're taking a little walking tour down Massachusetts Avenue to visit embassies. So welcome to the channel. And man the traffic. It's Massachusetts Avenue. It's always going to be like this. In the winter, not so much, but spring is starting. I'm thinking the Cherry Blossom Festival is going to be soon. This place is going to get crazy. Okay, now we're looking at the residence of the British ambassador. Now, the building we just looked at, built in 1960, purpose-built as a really large office complex, because we do a lot of business, obviously, with the United Kingdom. This is the original embassy. This was built in 1928, and it's now the residence. It's also the kind of where the social receptions are. Ballroom and a big, beautiful dining room in here, which if you come for the open house, many times you're able to tour inside the residence and see the dining room and the ballroom and the balconies, all kinds of really great stuff. Hi, Mike. Great to see you. I'll never get you out of small town Michigan for that exact reason. Cost of housing and traffic. Yeah, I know. And as much as I love walking, you know, the potholes and the traffic are going to be the death of me someday. And so here you see the sculptures on this main gate. The unicorn and the lion, which you also see on many of the royal standards and royal crests, depending on which sovereign is reigning at the time. Beautiful. Oh, and a black squirrel. Well, that's interesting. Okay, black squirrel. You can kind of see through the gate, like another gate and then a house back there. This compound is full of little cottages, and it also includes tennis courts. And it's very nice. It's really like kind of, I guess, what an English stately home would be. This is where the ambassador to the United Kingdom lives, right next to the embassy. It's a very short walk to work every morning. This is a large compound, quite beautifully maintained. Compared to some other embassies that are kind of falling into a little bit of disrepair. This one's always quite beautifully maintained. I love the chimneys. I love the whole aesthetic feel. And so if we look above the door, okay, as I said, this was built in 1928. So that would have been, would that be George the Fifth? I think it would be George V. I can't really see the seal above the door. Forgive me, I always think I know my British history. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's George V. I think that's a GR up there. I don't think it's George the Sixth yet. No, it couldn't be. Couldn't be. Couldn't be. And then the unicorn and the lion again. So it's a symmetrical driveway here. And again, there's another little gate area out there up to a formal English garden and swim. Thank you, Cody. Formal English garden and swimming pool and tennis courts. Let's go visit Winston. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, in your head changed man. And here's a nice bronze sculpture that needs no introduction, but just in case future generations don't know who this great man is, this is Winston Churchill. Out front of the residence of the British ambassador here in the United States. The statue by William McVeigh, constructed here in 1966. On the initiative of the English-speaking Union. 1 foot stands on United States soil, 1 on British embassy grounds, a symbol of Churchill's Anglo-American descent. Oh, wow. Yes, because he had, I think his mom was American, his dad was British. Okay, so if he says, if this is 1 foot on British soil, 1 foot on American, if I back up, okay, now I'm on embassy soil, now I'm on American soil. Now, I want to show you kind of the interesting position here. So we have Winston Churchill here. Across the street, across Massachusetts Avenue, that's the Embassy of South Africa. And you can see Nelson Mandela, the statue to Nelson Mandela directly across the way. We're not going to cross this street today because I want to concentrate on this block. But we'll do that block another time. His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh planted this tree on Earth Day 2023, the year of His Majesty the King's coronation. Wow. Okay, so this was the current Duke of Edinburgh, obviously, so Edward, planted this tree. Didn't even know he was here. Nice. Good on you, Edward. And here we'll continue walking east on Massachusetts Avenue, and we're just going to go around this block. But we'll take a look across the street again at the Nelson Mandela statue. Here at the Embassy of the Republic of South Africa, which is right across the street. All right, now we get to some cool flags here. I guess this time of year they replace all the flags because I swear these weren't so bright a few weeks ago. This is the Embassy of Bolivia, or officially the plurinational state of Bolivia. This building was built in, getting some papers. This was built in 1923, and you can see definitely a different style here. Kind of a, I don't know, it's a little odd style. You know, the stucco gives it a mission feel, but the entranceway is more of a, definitely, you know, of the period 1923. With some cool flags for Bolivia. The next 2 buildings on this block are all part of the same compound. The Embassy of Brazil. This building, as you can guess. Hey, Ben, good morning. Oh my gosh, wow. I appreciate everyone subscribing. That's crazy. I get like 10 subs a week. which is just insane. And I'm very grateful. As you can imagine, this is not a terribly old facility here. This is part of the Embassy of Brazil. This was built in 1973, so quite a modern building for 1973. The glass cubicle design, typical of office buildings built during that time in Washington, D.C., kind of Northern Virginia. There's one they call the Flash Cube building. If anyone knows what a flash cube is, showing my age. And then this interesting little pyramid marker for the address here in front of the building. And then the building you'll see here behind it at the corner of Whitehaven and Massachusetts Avenue is also part of the Embassy of Brazil. So we'll go get a better view down here. And another look back at the Embassy of Brazil. Thank you, Mateo. I appreciate it. Now this building here on the north side of Massachusetts Avenue, this is a private residence. I love this one. I really do. I didn't write down the date. I'm gonna guess 1910 maybe for that one, unless it's a reproduction. It can't be a reproduction. But here on the corner is also part of the Embassy of Brazil. Now, I don't know if this was the original embassy. This one was built in 1912, so it's possible that this was an original building and then the more modern structure that we just passed was built later, or it's possible this just belonged to someone else. But 1912, this is typical early 1900s architecture here. It has a very bank feel to it, you know, like a building and loan or a bank in an urban location. And the hedges are getting really tall here, so I'll quickly get around the corner and then we'll get a better view. But here's the view looking down Massachusetts Avenue east toward the center of Washington, D.C. So I'm really kind of on the edge of northwest Washington, D.C. Quite a ways from the center and the monuments and the memorials. You really can't walk from the monuments and memorials here to this part of the city. I think for me, getting from the center of like the mall to Georgetown is about as far as I can go in a walk. This is also a hilly area because directly in front, that bridge there is the bridge that goes over Rock Creek. And so it's very hilly, obviously, around this big, huge creek that creates a little valley. And there are bridges over it. Lots of runners and walkers today. And now we're at the corner with Whitehaven. So I'm going to come to the corner and then turn back around so we can get a look at this part of the Embassy of Brazil. This is the part of the building yeah, I know. I have no idea. Eric K. Oh my gosh. I have no idea why Brazil used a pyramid there, but that building was like very cubical. So could have been just some kind of crazy architectural design. So this part is the residence of the ambassador. And this one was built in 1912. So we're going to walk up. This is Whitehaven. And we're not going to talk about this building across the street, which is the Embassy of Italy. We will have a separate video on the Embassy of Italy because during this year's open house, hopefully, this is where I'll be spending a lot of time. I have a few embassies that I am more interested in than others. And the Embassy of Italy does a really great job during the open house. Music, fashion, food. Had a really fancy car and motorcycle exhibition the last time. So we won't go in. As you can see, this is quite modern architecture. Hey, Davy Verse, good morning. Yeah, it's cloudy today. Cloudy, not too cold. We're kind of working our way down the back here of the ambassador's residence. This is a quieter little street. So hopefully the traffic will chill out. So here's Embassy of Italy interesting, to say the least. I can appreciate all styles, although I gravitate toward the old stuff. I can appreciate the new stuff. All right, I can get my papers out here. So the next one we see up here, we're going to see some individual homes, a mix of private homes, residences, and little tiny embassies of smaller countries. Morning.
Good morning.
Do we have a monument to the lost tea outside the embassy? No, in Boston we do, though. In Boston, you can go out on the pier and stand pretty much where the crates of tea were flung into Boston Harbor. Now I want to sing that song from Hamilton. You'll be back. Soon you'll see. All right, so this little square gem here was built in 1935. And this is a private residence. Woodpeckers right above me, if you can hear them. This is cute. Very typical of the 1930s. Next, Embassy of Sri Lanka. This one was built in 1951. Looks older than it is, for sure. I would have guessed also 1930s or 1940s. But this one's 1951. And in 2023, we celebrated the 75th anniversary of Sri Lanka, USA diplomatic relations. Well, how lovely. And there's something missing. There was an elephant. And if you look at my video on the Embassy of Sri Lanka, which I probably posted, 2 years ago, you would have seen it was one of the embassy elephants on my elephant safari. There are elephants in front of the Embassy of Côte d'Ivoire, India, and there was one here. I don't know where he's gone. He's escaped. The elephant is gone. The elephant is gone. Very sad. Alrighty, I know that flag. This is the residence of the ambassador from Poland. Jak się masz? Or Dzień dobry. This one was built in 1926. Very nice. Maybe the elephant is in the room. Good one, Hudson Brown. I do like red brick. I love my red brick. Yep. I do. I like red brick. I like the symmetrical features. Even though this was built in 1926, it's definitely got a little bit of a Georgian influence, kind of colonial influence there in the architecture. Very nice. And according to my map and my notes, there are other small buildings behind this one on this property. Beautiful. Okay, now we're up the hill. So before I started this stream, I had already walked/run 4 miles. So my legs are starting to feel it. And we're going up a hill. This one is 1929. This is a private residence. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful. I won't dwell on this one too long since it's a private residence. Love the driveway in front. And then the next one, or next two, were both built in 1926, but by different architects. So built at the same time, but different, oh yeah, definitely. Different styles. As the elephant left the building. I don't know, I'm a little worried. I'm gonna go back to it honestly is probably one of the very first shorts that I made. So 2 years now. Because I filmed it when I was probably at one of the open houses. So May 2023. This was the first stretch of road that I started filming embassies on. And there was an elephant there, I promise. All right, and then this last one here, also 1926. John, this is Northwest Washington, D.C. So all of our neighborhoods are American neighborhoods, and anyone is welcome here. This is where the embassies, many of the embassies are. And you'll see the Suburban and the important cars here. Now we get to our friends at the Danish embassy, who don't really like us getting close to the actual building, because you can't really see anything. So there's a sign, there's some flags. The actual building is, you can only see part of it, but most of it is to the left, way back behind that gate. So unfortunately, we can't get there. Now there is a trail here, not doing it today, not doing trails until my rib heals from my incident 2 weeks ago. But there's a trail here that would take me back to where we began, which is this way. Ooh, okay. Can I do this little trail though? You know, I say I like to circle the block. We'll take a little adventure. No, I don't think I can get there. So from here, this building here, that's the back of the New Zealand embassy that we started with today. Do they do drive-bys here? Not as bad as some other cities, John. Not as bad as some other cities. See where this little trail goes. But yeah, so that's my architectural tour of block number 2147 in Northwest Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has a great mix of architecture, parks. Now we're on a trail. Beautiful monuments and memorials at all times of day and night. It's great to take a look at night. If you visit Washington, D.C., make sure you make time during the day to go see all the cool stuff, but also make time at night, because everything looks different at night. Let's see if I can get back to where I started. If not, I'm going to end the stream here in the middle of the woods. But there's the back of the New Zealand embassy where we started. And there's part of a chimney that has fallen. You never know what you're going to find on these trails, especially tree roots that one can break ribs on. If you look down here, this is when I was talking about the valley that Rock Creek cuts behind all these beautiful buildings. Oh yeah, I can get back here. Back to where we started from. Thanks, Highlander. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I'll try not to get murdered. But if I do, I'll make sure I tell them not to chop me up after I've been murdered. It's good to just, if you know your surroundings, if you know where you are at all times, use good sense. Don't fall down. Ha! then all will be well. Film it. I know, right? Hi, Christopher. Am I a defense contractor? I can neither confirm nor deny that. Whoopsie. Almost tripped there. These trails are everywhere, which is great. The question is, can I really get back to where I started from? Probably not. I'm not seeing space in the fence. So I'm going to end the stream here, turn back around, get back to where I started from. I mean, I could creep that way. I could creep this way, but I'm not gonna. See, I could creep here, get back to the parking lot. It's fine. Totally fine. We'll end the stream here. Hey, I want to thank everyone. I'm not about to break into an embassy. I have examined these embassies for architectural purposes. So from the back here, we're looking at the purpose-built Embassy of New Zealand that was built in, what did I say it was built? 1979. And that's Observatory Circle over there, where, among other things, the Vice President lives, where the National Atomic Clock is, etc. Alrighty, well, I wanted to end the stream on a really good photo, but it won't be. It'll be the back of the Embassy of New Zealand. So thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Yeah, join us on Stasis Geeks channel, STASISGEEK, for Film Club today. It's a special. Unfortunately, Jay won't be with us, but Stasis and I will be talking about Monty Python, Holy Grail, Runaway. Very nice. Can't wait to see you all there. What was that building? This is the backside, literally, the backside of the Embassy of New Zealand. So if you go back to the beginning of my stream, you'll see the front side of the Embassy of New Zealand. Thanks for joining. Oh, Highlander, I know. Yes, the holy hand grenade. Fetch the holy hand grenade. Yes. Alrighty. I'm going to trek back to my car and hope that I don't get hit by a flying Vash. See you all at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Stasis Geeks channel. I hope you have a fantastic day, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.